GamerSpawn. Since it launched in 2002, the Battlefield series has continued to raise the bar for multiplayer shooter games with its stunning breadth and scope, intense action-packed battles, and innovative objective-based gameplay. In the fall of 2011, the franchise aimed for its biggest release yet with Battlefield 3, a game that set a high watermark with its breathtaking graphics and sound and revamped squad mechanics and gunplay. Though Battlefield 3 proved its worth and continues to be popular on both consoles and the PC over a year later, it's time for bigger, better, and badder. That's right, EA has pulled the curtains back on Battlefield 4 in a gorgeous and thrilling trailer earlier this week, and GamerSpawn has the full detailed analysis. The trailer opens with a military unit trapped in a sinking vehicle, desperately trying to escape. Right off the bat, it seems that DICE is going in the same direction as Battlefield 3 with the new single-player campaign, offering a heavily scripted cinematic experience rather than the skirmish-based chaos of its multiplayer modes. While this is undoubtedly disappointing to Battlefield fans who were hoping for a campaign more akin to the game's open-ended online arenas, we're willing to give the developers the benefit of the doubt as we see what the rest of the reveal trailer has to offer. There's also a good chance that the game will open up after some early scripted set pieces designed to introduce characters and set up the story. Just as the player shoots through the windshield with a .357 revolver for most of the squad to escape, the trailer cuts to black and takes us back in time to see how the squad got itself in this desperate situation. A lone soldier moves quietly through what looks to be an abandoned school, wielding an unloaded M16 assault rifle equipped with a scope. The rifle has U.S. Army engraved on it, indicating that part of the game at least is centered around the exploits of a Special Ops Army squad. The flag of Azerbaijan is painted on the wall as this trailer takes place in the city of Baku. As he moves through the empty, decaying hallways, we can see some of the graphical and audio improvements DICE has applied to the Frostbite engine. Advanced lighting effects give the illusion of sun rays filtering through the windows and crumbling roof panels, illuminating dust particles and casting high-resolution shadows on the ground. The contextual interface tells the player to use E to open, confirming we're looking at the PC version of the game. The heads-up display has been modestly revised from the last game, using a more understated gray tone rather than the saturated blues of Battlefield 3. Additions include a numerical health indicator, a permanent mini-map and objective reminder, and a few rearranged and redesigned icons. Enemies appear a floor below the player character, their flashlights again showing off the game's lighting engine, apparently slightly improved from the last game. An American soldier surprises the protagonist, calling him Wrecker and nearly shooting him with his sidearm. Another soldier enters, equipped with what appears to be a silenced scope M4 assault rifle. As the player aims down the street to provide covering fire, we get a glimpse at the flame towers of Baku protruding majestically from the cityscape. A friendly unit is chased by attack dogs through the streets and manages to off them with a gunshot and a knife attack in close quarters. But the enemy is in hot pursuit. They appear to be Russian, the skins looking very similar to those used in Battlefield 3's multiplayer. An explosion rips off the face of a building, confirming the presence of Frostbite's destructible environments. This particular instance appears more detailed than many of the last game's examples. Gunplay looks similar to Battlefield 3 with the same solid gun models, superb sound effects, and improved and revamped iron and scope aiming mechanics. Another explosion destroys a car, sending parts and debris soaring sky high and dispatching the enemies. The player's ally, Irish, is helped up through the building window as he brandishes an M249 LMG. The army unit exits the building, and we cut to another scene. The soldiers receive their next orders to reach the factory roof and get safely extracted from the battle. We get a nice glimpse at how the updated Frostbite engine will handle another type of environment, a lightly wooded urban area leading to their objective, the sprawling industrial facility. The graphics and draw distance continue to impress in this view of the game's landscape, again showing some subtle improvements over the last game. The birds screaming overhead as the squad drops into a muddy clearing show great attention to detail in the presentation. An armored caravan roars past, causing the troops to scramble to take cover, but an enemy technical spots the men and a firefight ensues. The gunner's fire takes a chunk out of the concrete, eating away at the squad's cover. The player tags the vehicle and dashes towards its flank, shooting away at a plywood board with his pistol-grip shotgun, possibly a Remington model. Continuing his flanking maneuver, the player blasts away at a wall across the street with his type of grenade launcher, creating an opening for him to sprint through. Though he is able to render the vehicle harmless by taking out the baddies, he's injured by fire from off-screen, taking him down to 70 health. This quickly regenerates, confirming that the game will use a similar regeneration system as before. The player can commandeer this vehicle, giving us some hope that the game will offer some freedom of choice, as DICE has stated. Sure enough, he hijacks the technical and guns it, the Huey extraction chopper roaring overhead. But he's not out of the woods yet, as Russian units block the way. Using the technical's mounted machine gun, the player lays down fire as the squad continues to advance. From what we can see, the enemy AI looks serviceable at best, though they do attempt to take cover, flank, and reinforce their lines dynamically, but they appear to make several tactical errors in this firefight. The use of destructible environments, explosive objects, and vehicles looks to play a big role in the way skirmishes play out in the single-player campaign. The player's grenade launcher helps him out of a jam as he blows away the cover that entrenched enemy soldiers are hiding behind. Flanking the building, the player advances and blasts away with his shotgun, giving us a closer look at the game's combination of scripted animations and ragdoll physics that govern the enemy's death sequences. A notification pops up on the corner, telling the player that his friend has taken the lead in regards to a certain achievement or statistic within the game, indicating a continued emphasis on social connectivity in Battlefield 4. This enemy appears to fall towards the player instead of away when fired upon, which may be a bug in this early build. Sneaking up on a hostile, the player shanks him and snags his dog tags, no doubt a statistic that will be tracked through the campaign and multiplayer modes. Gunning down enemy units across the wash, the player tags them for his AI counterparts to concentrate their fire on and begins bombarding them with further explosive shells. The chopper makes a pass with guns blazing, lighting up explosive materials and collapsing a partially completed building support. The player moves to the southwest flank as the opposition is eliminated, but right on cue, Russian reinforcements arrive, laying down heavy suppressing fire on the army squad. Flagging the enemy once again, the player calls in for more air support while he fires grenades into their ranks. This powerful combination of firepower neutralizes the enemy, and we get a look at the game's improved fire and smoke effects as the trailer again jumps ahead in time. The squad advances through the floor level of the abandoned factory, their boots generating realistic splashes as they hustle to the lift that should take them to safety. Just as we're enjoying a good look at the game's massive draw distance and dynamic weather effects, a Russian Mi-28 chopper comes out of nowhere and bears down on the American squad. In what looks like a scripted sequence, the lift is destroyed just as the men barely escape with their lives. Sprinting frantically through the building, the squad takes heavy fire as they inch closer to their objective on the roof. The game's lighting and bullet effects continue to impress as sparks from the chopper's tracers and bullets skip across the ground, just feet in front of the special ops team. As the player is just moments away from rescue, the Russian chopper rises ominously in the background, laying down fire on the Huey and the stranded squad alike. It fires its missiles, compromising the structural integrity of the factory as the roof begins to collapse beneath our hero's feet. A scripted sequence sees the player dangling from the factory ledge as the friendly bird goes down in flames, just before the player finally appears to be crushed beneath a slab of concrete. Miraculously, the player's character has survived the fall. Wrecker is pulled from the wreckage as we survey the damage. One of the squad, Staff Sergeant Dunn, is pinned beneath another slab of concrete, and Wrecker's asked to slice his leg off to get him out of there in time. Though we're not sure how a knife can cut off a leg so easily, they somehow manage and get him to the civilian vehicle they've commandeered. Hightailing it out of there as the chopper continues to fire on their position, Wrecker and the rest of the crew appear to make it out alive, at least for the time being. As the operatives make their way out of a tunnel, we get another glance at the game's weather systems, the dark looming clouds from earlier giving way to rainfall on the windshield. The effects look superb, and we're hopeful these systems are truly dynamic and make their way to the game's multiplayer mode as well. The Russian chopper scores several hits on their car, causing the player to lose partial control of the vehicle. He leans out the window and fires an explosive round at the craft in a desperate gambit that manages to take down the chopper but has disastrous consequences for the crew. Skidding out of control, the team careens off the road and into a body of water, bringing us full circle to the beginning of the trailer. An ominous radio call lets us know that the squad retrieved the intel it needed to at the cost of Dunn's life, and hints that the game will contain levels set in China as the team continue to pursue its objectives. After the trailer fades to black, we get a few rapid-fire slides of other parts of the game. These shots seem to focus on scripted action sequences which are graphically breathtaking. From an underwater set piece to piloting a Zodiac watercraft to cars hurtling towards the player. Finally, the trailer closes with a Chinese operative addressing the player, with extremely detailed facial and skeletal animation. Though all revealed trailers should be taken with a grain of salt, as there are undoubtedly countless changes, cuts, and other tweaks that will be made before the game's release. Battlefield 4's trailers set our expectations for the game sky high in the presentation and gun mechanics department. We do hope that DICE will follow through on its promises that the campaign will open up and allow a certain degree of freedom in the way players can approach objectives. Stay tuned to GamerSpawn in the coming weeks and months as we ramp up to the next big blockbuster release for veterans DICE and EA, Battlefield 4.